So today we're going to be talking about the principles of a good bow hold. A good bow hold requires two things, power and strength and flexibility. What we try to do to gain both the power and the flexibility is that we utilize the strongest fingers on our hand. So the very strongest finger that we've got on our hand is our thumb. And what we're going to do is we're going to take, for very beginners, oftentimes we have them start on the silver part of the thumb right there, which gives you a little bit more power and strength at the cost of some flexibility. For more advanced players, you take your thumb and you put it inside here. And this is actually going to be lifting up and holding up the bow. So the next strongest finger that we've got is our middle finger. And so what we're going to do is we're going to wrap that around and then wrap the ring finger around as well. Oftentimes it ends up touching that little silver circle there, not always necessarily. And so it ends up looking kind of like a bunny rabbit here. Although kind of a wonky bunny rabbit. We'll talk about what this motion here is called in a second. But then after that, you're going to take and rest your index finger. And if you'll look, your index finger is about over... And if you look, this knuckle on your index finger is about over the top of the bow. And next we're going to take our weakest finger here, and we're going to take that pinky and just rest it on the top. The advantage to that pinky resting on the top like that is that pinky is going to help give a little bit of flexibility back and forth. And at the same time, it's not going to be doing the heavy lifting of the bow. It just kind of helps guide and direct the rest of this up and down like that. So the Viola Bow Hold is basically the same as a Violin Bow Hold. We take and we've got our thumb that is holding up that bow. We take our next strongest finger, the middle finger, ring finger, index finger, all of those wrapping around. We have that first knuckle right there, wrapping over the top, and then our pinky resting on the top. Now, this sometimes is a little bit different in a Viola Bow Hold. That oftentimes we'll take our pinky instead of very on the top, and we'll actually kind of shift it a little bit slightly to the side to give us a little bit more flexibility back and forth. Now, something you can't notice just from the video is that we've got this viola bow, which is actually slightly thicker on the backside with a little bit more hair than the violin bow. And that's very common. You know, the bigger the instrument, the more hair that we're going to need to pull on those thicker strings, and the more strength we're going to need in the back, so usually a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier to try and pull those strings a little bit easier. Next we have our cello bow, which, if you'll notice, it's actually quite a bit thicker, a lot more hair, and it's actually a little bit shorter than a full-size violin bow. And this one is the full-size cello bow, and that's for several reasons. Really, part of it is if we made it as long as a violin bow, it would get a little bit heavy and a little bit unwieldy. And once again, the thicker wood on the back is to help give a little extra support with those thicker strings. There's also more hair on the cello bow. Now, cello bow hold is very similar to the violin bow hold. We use that same set of strong fingers like that. How we hold it, though, is slightly different. Because the cello bow is going to be sitting resting on the strings, what we do is we take our thumb, and instead of underneath to lift it up, we're going to be holding from the side right there. We take that and we let these fingers drape across. In fact, quite a bit more than on the violin bow hold. On a violin, it would probably be something like this. But to help us support underneath, we've got those sitting right there. And once again, we rest that finger right there. And our pinky actually, instead of resting on the top, it's going to rest just slightly underneath. And that allows us to get the flexibility that we need back and forth like this. So with any of our bow holds, what we're trying to do is we're trying to use this kind of a motion, which we call pronation, this turning of the wrist this way. If we were to turn the other way like this, it is called supination. So we mostly get this side of our hand that's holding the bow. And that's, again, because this side of the hand is actually a little bit weaker than this side of the hand. And so we get those strong fingers that are helping to hold the bow and pull it back and forth, which gives us a little bit more power and strength, in addition to giving us at the same time quite a bit of flexibility, especially when we're using our wrists and our fingers in a very relaxed manner. When we end up using more of the back side of our hand like this, that's referred to as supination. And so if we're trying to hold our bow, you see a lot of actually videos out there where people are holding their bow and they've got it like this and they're trying to pull the bow. And if you look at this, mostly what I'm trying to do is I'm using this back side again, this weaker side of my hand. As soon as I do this, I actually get quite a bit more flexibility with it, and I can actually move it quite a bit more, have a lot more control as well. This is especially common for cello bow hold. The cellist often will try and grab from this side and pull it out this way. Now, bass bow hold, if you're doing a French style grip on a bow, is going to be basically the same thing as a cello bow hold. Again, this way that you're pulling that bow back and forth. However, there is another kind of a bow that's especially made one for the bass, in which the frog of the bow is a little bit wider like this, and in which you grab and you actually draw the bow back and forth like this. So this drawing motion with your bow is used with a type of a bow called a German bow, and that's something we'll go over a different time.